Mhm. Hi, Han. Good morning. Hey, Kate. And good morning to anyone doing this recorded. Um, Kate, as you're doing it along live with us, morning, Han. There's a playlist in the chat. If you want to use it, you don't have to, but it's there if you'd like to. Um, People doing it recorded, I'm going to put a playlist in the description. So that's there if you want to get it set up. If you've got blocks and stuff, as always, that will be super, super helpful. But if you don't, we can totally work around them. And yeah, we'll make a start. So if you just want to come to find anywhere that's going to be a comfortable position for you, it can be a lying down place, it can be a seated place. The position itself doesn't need to be too important. I just want you to prioritize somewhere that feels like it gives you a bit of support. I'm going to acknowledge now that my cat is on chaos mode. There's a high possibility he might be a feature in our practice this morning. Okay. So once you've found where you'd like to be, as always, just take a couple moments for you. Just see if there are any little movements, any little things you can do that just kind of help you settle into the position you've chosen. So might be a bit of a yawn, a bit of a sigh, stretch of the neck. If the nervous system is feeling quite charged, shaking can be quite helpful. It's like a shake of the hands or a shake of the arms. And then together, we're going to find a little bit of release. We're going to do this through a few sighs, and then we're going to turn that into our ujjayi. So when you're ready, let's start. Big, deep inhale in through the nose. Long sigh out, let the jaw drop. Whole way to empty. Couple more like that. So you can start to go at your own pace. Doesn't have to be the same as me. Just really give yourself permission to find that quite purposeful symbol of release. But then also a long exhale, it's just going to really, really gently begin to slow the heart rate. It's going to send a message to the nervous system that it's safe. And it can be such a helpful tool for allowing us just to gently start to land in practice, land in presence. This next sigh, breathe out like you were fogging up a mirror in front of your face. And you'll notice a control of the breath in the back of the throat. Take one more like that and just really pay attention to that sensation. This is soft engagement of what we call Jalandhara Bandha in practice. Engagement of that space is going to be quite soothing for the nervous system. We'll turn this into Ujjayi by doing the same thing, but keeping your lips sealed. And it'll start to become breathing with sound. You can decide whether you want to keep Ujjayi for your practice today. If there's any other breath that is going to work better for you, please feel free as always to make practice your own. But however you're working with the breath before we come into movement, just take a moment. Use your breath just to really gently start to collect your awareness, collect your attention. For me, this collection of attention on breath starts to become quite synonymous with a kind of collection of care, because that's really what it is this collection of awareness. Time and time again, we're kind of gathering ourselves to come back to feel, to listen, to drop into these more feeling ways of being that practice gives us the space for. It's such a joy to be able to take time like that. I want to invite you, even before we begin to move, just to check in with yourself and just kind of notice anything that might be present today. You don't have to be able to label it or intellectualize it. We do our best not to kind of say it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, but this being a practice of connection, Just whenever we can, we want to take these little moments just to come back, to listen, to hold, to feel. Let's take one more inhale here together. You can sigh if you like on this next exhale. Let's go straight to a tabletop position. So we're going to start to warm into the wrists. So if you want to turn your fingers so they point towards the longer edges of your mat and begin with a little bit of movement out, kind of side to side from hand to hand. I love this movement because it really helps us get into grounding sensation. So really noticing the contact you have with the ground. Grounding is often quite literal, but it's also going to start to open the wrists, open the forearms. One more breath here. If you want to take it any more deeper into the wrists, you can turn your fingertips so they reach back towards your toes. Might be the one for you, might absolutely not. And then again, any free movements. The wrists are feeling a little tender today, turn the fingertips back forwards. One more breath. Hands go back forwards. If they're not there already, we'll take a puppy pose. Walk the hands just a little further forward. Trying to keep the hips on top of the knees as much as you can. Forehead might drop down towards the ground. If there's a lot of space, your chin or your chest will touch the ground. Wherever you are, we're going to create a bit of a rippling motion. So your next inhale, nice and firmly press through the hands, and you're going to notice the upper back lift. And then as you exhale, you're going to soften it back down, kind of melt down to the mat. So on the inhale, we kind of find this strength and this rise, this expansion. And the exhale is kind of this soften, this return. It's kind of a theme we see a lot in practice. Inhaling to expand, exhaling to return. We're going to be playing with some of the postures in the rocket too today. When you're ready, bring it back to tabletop and come to downward facing dog, which often means there's a little bit more back bending, a little bit more opening into the front body. Next, inhale, lift up the right leg. Take a bend in your knee, open up the hip and just kind of pause there. See if you can let the side of the head drop down. One more breath here. Inhaling. Exhale, let's go knee to nose, dome the spine, press the ground away, and look in between the thumbs. One more like that. Inhale, leg high. Exhale, we're going to press the ground away, trace the breath. And then taking the foot down. We'll go through a vinyasa. If you know where you're going, go for it. If you're with me, we'll roll forward. Plank knees can be up or down. Keep pressing the ground away. We look forwards. Exhale, lowers you down, elbows in. Inhale, we open the chest, any back bend, cobras, up dog, shalabasanas. Exhale takes you back, and that's always, always to a pose of your choice. Might be a nice moment for down dog. Could be a really nice moment for child's pose, like the wrists release the low spine. Or sometimes a nice sub kind of in between the two would be a tabletop. Just take one more breath, moving in your own way. Then we do same thing again. Second side, come back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up. Bend the knee, open the hip, and just pause it there. Let the side of the head drop down. One more breath. All right, next exhale, we go knee to nose. Dome the spine, press the ground away. If you want drishti, that's actually the belly button here. Inhale the leg back high, look in between the thumbs. Exhale, knee to nose. Try and have a little look at the belly button. Inhale the leg high. We take it down. And we vinyasa. We roll it forwards. Exhale, lower. Open the chest. Cobras, up dogs. Grip with the hands. Hasta Bandha. Exhale, we take it back. Pose of your choice. 3 breaths. See if you can steady out the exhale. If the breath feeling a little tight, mine often really does first thing in the morning. A nice thing would be to sigh, or you can flutter the lips. That will help release. Let's make our way to the top of the mat, tiptoes. You can bend your knees, walking, stepping, or jumping it forwards. Think of lifting the chest. Inhale halfway when you get there. Exhale to fold. Uddiyana Bandha engages around the middle of the body. Let's come up to standing. Press through your feet. Sweep up the arms. Look up. Look at the glutes a squeeze. Samastitihi. Take your hands down through prayer. Just going to take a moment here. Eyes can be open or closed. Feet can be any way you like. I just want you to feel grounded. They can be hips distance. You can toes together. They can be wider if you like. And then we're going to get a little bit more purposeful. So press into your big toes. And then try also press into your heels. You're kind of balancing out that press. And see if you could also find a feeling like you're pressing through the little toe side of your foot. I know it's specific, but this helps us engage what we call Pada Bandha. There's active grounding through the feet, and you're going to notice the body lift up. Inhale here. All right, gang, enjoy your practice. Let's go Surya A. Inhale, sweeps up the arms, look up. Exhale to fold, bend the knees as much as you like. Chin drops to chest, drishti to belly button. Inhale, you lift halfway, shoulders back. Exhale your vinyasa, hands to the ground. You can walk, step, or jump it back. If you're jumping, maybe starting to land with bent elbows. Inhale, you drag the chest forward, soften the shoulders when you're there. Exhale takes you back, pose of your choice for 3. If you want to move in your pose, you can move for 2. If you've gone to one pose, you don't have to stay in it. You can have an expression, kind of move around between the 3 if you like. Okay, we'll make our way forward. Inhale, tiptoes just past your fingers, bending the knees, walking, stepping, or jumping. Gonna inhale to lift up halfway. Whole length of exhale to fold. Whole way to standing, press through your feet, sweep up to thumbs. I'm gonna keep it flowing, straight back down, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, you lift, you lengthen, shoulders back. Keep looking forwards, hands to the ground, walk, step, or jump. Inhale, you lift. You can go at your pace, doesn't have to be the same as me. We meet back, pose of your choice for 3. If there's anything you need, if the wrists need release, if you need to sigh, another position, you go for it. And 1. All right, let's take it forwards, tiptoes. If you're working on jumping, start to push the ground away. Inhale, we lift. And exhale, we fold. Uddiyana Bandha engages. Whole way to standing, press through your feet. We open up the front of the body. Exhale, we reverse, we fold, we open the back of the body. Last Surya A, half lift. If you want to, you can add this in. So as you take your hands to the ground, spread the fingers wide and see if you can take a bit of weight to your hands before you go back. So in Rocket, we work towards a lot of press motions, and this is where it starts to come in. So you're taking your shoulders over the knuckles and like past your fingers. Keep leaning forwards, leaning forwards, leaning forwards, leaning forwards. And at the last moment, you take the feet back. It's going to help you find your float. And start to strengthen the wrists and the shoulders. Pose of your choice. 3 breaths when you're there. Time and time again. See if you can take a hold of the breath. Draw it back. For 2. And for 1. Okay, if you're working on landing light, what we want to think about when we come forwards is the shoulders coming over your knuckles. And to do that, we want a tiny bit of a back bend. So that's why you look beyond the fingers. Let's first build the muscle memory. So go tiptoes, take shoulders over knuckles. Now you know where that is. Fantastic. That's where we're going to come back to. All right. So tiptoes, bend your knees, try to bring the shoulders back where they just were. Push the ground away. Halfway lift. Let it go. Sigh. Now come back to halfway and pause there. We play a little bit, reach the fingertips back to your glutes, take the weight to the heels, top of the head comes forward. So you take your weight to your heels, see if you can lift your toes, stretch out the backs of the feet. Now shift it, take the weight to the tiptoes. Can you lift your heels? Nice. So the ankles will do what they got to do. Challenge is to keep breathing. 1 more breath. All right, press through your big toes, start to engage at the back of the body. Sweep the arms up. Upside down handstand. 1 more breath. Heels down, hands down. And we start Surya B. All right, inhale, chair pose. Bend your knees, sweep up, look to hands. Keep it flowing. Exhale, folds, chin to chest. Half lift. Vinyasa, so you might tip the weight to the hands before you go back. Inhale, lift. Exhale back. Traditional today, right foot forwards, left heel down, warrior 1. Exhale, hands to the ground. Same exhale that takes you back through your vinyasa. There's a lot to fit into 1 breath. And we're back. Second side, left foot forwards, right heel down. Sweep it up. Exhale, hands down. Think chest forwards as the foot goes back. Keep gripping with your fingers. Exhale. 3 breaths. Any pose you like. Might be down dog, might be tabletop. You can puppy, you can child's pose. For 2. If you're in down dog and you want a drishti, traditional one is the belly button. That's really intense for lots of us in the neck. So I like to look sometimes in between the thighs or in between the feet. Last breath. All right, we're going to take our way forwards. If you're enjoying all the jumping business, I'm going to give us a bit more. If you're like, not for me, you're going to make your own way to the top of the mat. If you want some cue on jumping, and this is towards the tuck handstand, we're going to think about bunny hops. So bunny hops are where you kick your feet towards your glutes, and we're going to step the feet a bit closer to the hands, because that's a nice way to be kind. All right, you're going to go tiptoes, look just past your fingers, bend the knees, and it's like a little flick, and you have to have a bit of an opening in the chest to get that hold. So you're going to take a couple of those and just see if each time you can land your feet a little bit closer to the hands. If taking weight into the hands is new to you, you might just be getting used to that. It's loads and loads for the nervous system to start to get used to. Inhale, half lift. Sigh it out. Back to chair pose, bend your knees, sweep it up. Second Surya B, and we fold. Halfway lift. Your transition, hands to the ground, think chest forward, feet back. And back. Again, right foot forwards, left heel down, sweep up the arms. Now here we're going to play a little bit. So we're going to take hands to the ground in front of your right foot. Some of us might use blocks for standing splits. You work in the way that makes sense for you. When you're there, inhale's going to lift the chest. And then as you exhale forward, the core will engage. And you're thinking about forehead towards shin. Again, that's Uddiyana Bandha. One more like that. You lift. And you fold. And then we're taking this into our transition back. You can step straight to down dog. You can vinyasa. Or if you're enjoying taking weight into your hands, we take it into a hop. So you tip your weight forwards just past the fingers. You're seeing if you can hop the right foot to the back of the mat first. We lift. And we're back. Second side, left foot forwards. Right heel down, sweep up, look up. Straight to standing splits. You exhale, hand to blocks or the ground as you lift the right leg up, 2 ripples. Whole leg, the exhale to fold. One more like that. This one's into your transition. Walking, stepping, hopping. If you're hopping, like just past those fingers again. See if you can take the left foot back first. And we meet. Pose of your choice, 3 breaths. For 2. Spread the fingers if you're in down dog. Gentle grip in the hands, Hasta Bandha. Come to down dog if you were anywhere else. Let's go bunny hops again, tiptoes. Bend your knees. Look just past those fingers. See how many hops it takes you to get to the top of the mat. Each time, try land your feet just a little bit closer to the hands. Halfway lift. Let's sigh it out. We're going to come into sequence, tip of the rocket, bend your knees, chair pose. Now we hold. Take the weight to your heels, press through your little toes, and try look up to the fingers. For 2. Try soften the face. And for 1, interlace your hands, press the heels of the hands forwards. Inhale. Exhale, half chair, bend the knees deeper, reach the heels of the hands forwards. For 3. For 2. For 1, if you know where you're going, you want to go straight upside down, do your thing, crow to headstand. If you're with me, if you want to keep the weight out of the hands, take the knees wide, peel your hands forwards. That'll be a nice release for the feet, the hips, and the shoulders. If you want to go crow or headstand, you're going to spread the fingers and you're going to shift your weight forwards. You might hold it here. Some of us will start to lift the feet as we lift the chest. And then if you're going into headstand, you bend your knees deeper, sorry, your arms deeper. And that's going to help you take the top of the head down, chin to chest. Before you take the feet up, I acknowledge that sometimes that feels insane and terrifying. So if that's the case, you can still build the muscle memory without your feet lifting up. Kind of take a crow pose with feet up and just see what it feels like to kind of work that rotation forward and up. However you get there, we're going to be meeting back in down dog. There might be a shoot back from crow. If you're doing a shoot back from headstand, you're going to pike your legs and exhale shoots the feet back as the head lifts. We meet back. Down dog, inhale. Side out. Standing sequence, right foot forwards. Warrior two. So we pause at the shoulders drop. Now, as we're going to work a little more into the chest today, let's start here. Take the right hand towards the base of the neck, left hand towards the elbow point. Breathe. Balance the weight in your feet. One more breath here. Trikonasana triangle. Straighten both the legs, straighten both the arms. You can bring the left foot in, right hand reaches forward. Might be down to a block, might be down to the ground or your big toe, and look up to that top fingertip. You can stay there, or you can half bind left hand around the back. For another 3, feel like you're rolling the right inner hip forwards for 2. Try balance the press in your feet. If that feels impossible, come up a little higher. For 1, look down. We go towards our half moon. So you might grab a block along the way. You're taking your hand to the ground or to the block to start to peel off the back foot. Same pose, one leg. You can keep it here or go Chapasana. That's why we're going to bend up the top leg and reach the hand back towards it, like what you do in a bow pose. Breathe. If you want to test your balance, look to the ceiling. If you want more stability, look to the ground. Okay, we're keeping it open today. So you're going to start to release. Step your left leg to the back of the mat. We go straight to extended side angle. Take your right hand, either to a block by the foot or down to the ground. Left arm up and over the head. Have a little look at those left fingertips. One more breath. Feel like you're pressing the hips forwards. We're going to take 1 circle. Inhale. Draw a circle with that left hand. Energize the fingers. Hasta Bandha. Find your grounding on the breath. All right, so let's start to play with a bit of binding. You can take the left hand behind your back, half bind. Full bind would be right hand underneath and the hands reaching towards one another. If the hands don't reach, no problem at all. You're just instead going to take your right arm underneath your right knee. Bird of paradise, look towards your front foot, bend the back knee to step the left foot forward. If you're in your mind, keep it. We're going to lift the right knee up. So this is what it looks like unbound. If you're in your bind, you're kind of using this grip of the hands. Press through the foot and focus on lifting the center of your chest. If you're there and it's quite comfy, start to play with extending the right leg and bringing the left shoulder back, either variation. One more breath. And we take it down. You're going to step your left foot back, kind of like nothing happened. And then both hands to the ground inside your right foot, lizard pose. Just take a moment here, come onto the ball of the back foot. Feel like you're dropping that left hip flex down. And then we're going to come into a side plank variation. So a few options. We're tipping the weight to the left hand. You can go supported by stepping your right foot up halfway. You can go feet stacking, or if you like your Vashi B, you're going to take your peace finger to your right big toe, wrap the left heel down as you work on peeling up the hips and the heart. And you have to think of it as a little bit more like a back bend. Whichever one you're in, we're going to breathe for 2. For 1, we're going to go wild thing. You're going to step your right foot behind the left, press the foot into the ground, think hips and heart to the ceiling. If you're comfortable going full wheel transition here, take that right hand to the ground. Breathe. And we're going to vinyasa out. So you're going to work your way back, look back to that left hand, right hand down, and exhale to lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale back. Let's take a long sigh out. Big breath in. Really, really let it go. Do the same, but flutter the lips. Will help the nervous system release. Okay, now choices. If you want a bit more grounding, we'll come back to puppy. You can do what we did earlier, work with those ripples. If you know there's lots of space and you want to go deeper in your puppy, this is where you can take your hands to your blocks. That'll give you more space to drop into. If instead you feel like you want to take things upside down and you know where you're going, go for it. If you want a little bit of guidance towards Pincha Mayurasana or working dolphin, we're going to give that too. So As we're working a bit more back bending today, instead of having the arms exactly parallel, so kind of in line with the shoulders, we're going to interlace them. So I'd actually do a weird thing where I like hook my thumbs, because that means I can take my fingers to the ground, which I balance with. Some people like to interlace their hands more like a fist. You see what feels good for you. So forearms going to come to the ground if you're going dolphin. If you're going puppy, do your thing. Here in dolphin, I'm going to press the ground away. That's going to compress the shoulders and start to engage the core. You can tuck your toes, lift your hips. And if you just want to work chest opening and shoulder strength, you're going to press your forehead towards the big toes and hold it there. If instead you want to work upside down, we're actually going to look instead towards the thumbs and lift up the right leg. You might hold here and just take little pulses, rock forwards and back. Now, it's different for different people. If there's a little less space, a little less mobility, it's going to be more of a jump, and you're going to think about trying to get your left foot towards your right knee. If you've got lots and lots of space, if you're a very, very bendy person, you instead might work this a bit more like a split press. You're going to lean forwards and keep leaning forwards and use the right leg to kind of peel you back. Now, if you are quite bendy, if you're on that second option, you're now going to have to square your hips to take the feet towards one another. We're going to breathe for 3. If you're comfy there, try drop your head. You're using a wall, go find your wall for 2. We're all going to meet on the ground on 1. Come back, either child's pose or kneeling. Give the shoulders any movement they'd like. You can sigh, shake the hands, flutter the lips. Good morning, hey? All right, second side, let's go. Down dog. Left foot forwards. Warrior 2, right heel down. Land. Soften the gaze forwards, let the shoulders drop. If you want that chest opening option, it's left hand to the base of the neck, right hand to the elbow point. Last breath. Steady it out. All right, straighten the legs, straighten the arms. Trikonasana. Left hand peels forwards to a block the ground or the big toe. Right arm peels to the ceiling. See if you can look up. Engage the glutes. Roll that left inner hip forwards. If you'd like to half bind, right hand around the back. From here, it's half moon or option for Chapasana. You might be taking your hand to a block. It might be to the ground. You can hold. You're going Chapasana. That's where you bend up the top leg to reach the hand back towards your foot. You can treat sides of the body differently. That's super, super common for them to feel a little different. For 2, if you wobble, I know wobbling gets a bad rep, but honestly, it's the good bit. It's how the body learns. It's how the nervous system kind of makes new neural pathways. 1 more breath. We're going to bring that right foot to the back of the mat. And now from here, extended side angle. So maybe it's your left hand to a block by the left foot, might be left hand to the ground. Either way, it'll be your right arm up and over the head. We're going to hold here, press the hips forwards, and then take a circle, draw that right hand down, and back up. All right, from here, take the right hand around your back, half bind. If you're going full bind, the left hand goes underneath the leg to get the fingers to touch. No bind, no problem. It will be left hand underneath the knee. From where you are, look forwards, that left big toe. See if you can step the right foot whole way forwards. Tip the weight to the right foot, bird of paradise, to lift it up. Think of lifting the center of your chest. And maybe the left leg extends. Let the shoulders drop, breathe. We work it back down. Left foot goes to the back of the mat. You're going to unravel both hands to the inside of your foot. Any little movements. All right, we've got side planks into wild thing options. So I'm going to roll the weight to your right hand, right foot. You might step it up halfway. You might go feet stacking, or if you're going Vashisthasana, you've got to ground that right foot before you lift the left up to give you that stability. For 2. And for 1, wild thing variations. From where you've been, left foot's going to step behind the right, press the foot into the ground, think hips and heart up to the ceiling. If you want to go full wheel, left hand can go down as well, and you'll have to turn that right hand back. We make our way back, so if the right hand moved, you'll have to turn it back. Left hand comes down, we vinyasa. Inhale, lift. Exhale back. Take a sigh. and decide where you'd like to go. Puppy, dolphin, towards pincher. If you're using a wall, find your wall. Same, second side. I will bring us again through our arm balance variation. So hand, hook thumbs, use your fingers, or some people feel more stable with hands gripped. You see what works for you. We're all different. That's the good bit. All right. If you want to try something else with blocks and you're coming towards this dolphin, take a block by your right hip, and this can be a nice way just to lift your hips a little higher. So when you lift up your feet, you're now going to step your right foot onto your block. You'll notice that brings your hips up, which is actually going to make it a little easier to lift in time, easier in big inverted commas. And you work from there. It might be tips, might be hops, might be rocks. And we breathe. If you're there and you're working steady, feel like you're squeezing your big toes to one another and the inner thighs to one another. And then in time, we drop the head. That's quite a test of balance. But what it does, it just helps the neck release a little bit. We're all going to meet feet on the ground. Child's pose or kneeling. A sigh, any movements. And then we keep it flowing. So come to child's pose. I'm going to go straight to chaturanga from here. So look to your fingers, inhale. Exhale, catch on bent elbows. Inhale. Cobra or up dog. Down dog. Come to the top of the mat. You can walk, you can jump, maybe bunny hop. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Urdhva Hastasana, stretch at the front of the body. Samasthiti. Okay, turn your waist, you're facing towards your screen, turning to the long edge of the mat, Prasaritas. Hands go to the waist, inhale, lifts, look up. What the hands on the waist do, exhale, folds. It's not just kind of camp or fashion. But what they do, the squeeze in the middle of the body is actually a little reminder to engage the core or Uddiyana Bandha. The chin drop to the chest. Inhale, lift just slightly. Exhale, feel how that's going to help the middle of the body contract as you come into your fold. Okay, you can keep it here. You can take hands to the ground. If you've got a straddle variation you want to, go for it. I'll bring us through a headstand variation. So top of the head comes to the ground, and you'll have to take your fingertips down. You're just about to be able to see them. You're going to start to tip your way forwards, come right onto your tiptoes, and you want to think of energizing the legs away from one another. If you want to work the balance, just hold it here. If you're quite comfy there, start to bring the toes up. Hold. And we meet back on the ground if the feet were up. Take your time to reverse your movements. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands back to waist. All the way to standing. And pause. Okay, we're going to get down to the ground. I'm going to do that through a Tittipasana. So if you've got your blocks and this is new to you, I would take blocks that are kind of in line with your heels, just a little bit wider than shoulder distance. We go through goddess pose. So you're going to bend your knees super deep, and you're trying to see if you can kind of wiggle your biceps underneath your thighs. Feel free to have a look if you're not too sure what I mean. Hands go to your blocks or the ground, and essentially you start to sit your weight back. So you're kind of sitting onto the arms. Now, the great news here is that you're really, really close to the ground. So even if you're full, it's not very far. You're going to lift up your chest. You might stay there. Some of us will start to touch the big toes to one another. Some of us will extend up the legs. You're going to breathe. And now, how do we get to the ground from here? What you do, you straighten your arms and you slide down the legs. You can also just sit down like a standard human being. You get to the ground. And then from there, we're going to take the left hand in front of the pelvis. Inhale the right arm up. Side stretch. Some of us will be turning the heart to the ceiling. If there's lots of space, the hand might be going towards the foot. Try not to worry too much about where the arm is, but work this rotation up, and the opposite hip, right hip, keeps pressing down. Okay, come back to upright. Switch it over. Inhale. Exhale. If there's lots of space for you, it might be right forearm to the ground. Keep grounding the opposite hip. And we come up. All right, the rocket signature, Mula Bandha lifts. You can do this with or without blocks. Blocks will give you a little bit more height. We're going to take classic. Then for anyone who would like to, I'll do the Astavakrasana Kundinyasana variation. Very hard to say. All right, take your blocks. Take them so they frame your right quad, thigh, this one. You're gonna lean forwards. As you exhale, you're pressing through the hands to see if you can straighten your arms and lift your hips. You might hold here. If you're quite comfy, you might start to lift off the right foot. If that's really comfy, you're gonna lift off both feet. Breathe. And take it down. If the quads have cramped up, give them a drum. Out. Mula Bandha is essentially these pelvic floor muscles, connects directly into Uddiyana Bandha. So it's a sense of pressing down, but then lifting through the middle of the body. All right, if you want to try this next bit, Astavakrasana to Kundalini, if you know where you're going, go for it. Any other tricks? If you're with me, you're going to take this left leg and you're going to kind of hook it, almost like you're wearing a backpack onto your bicep. If that's not accessible, take the ankle on towards the thigh. You'll do a similar movement to what we just did. Looks like this. Maybe the other leg lifts. If you're going Astavakrasana, we've got the leg here. You're going to lean forwards, inhale, lift. You might float the right foot. If that's comfy, you're going to stack your feet, take the legs to the side, bend your elbows. This transition to Kundalini, you have to re-straighten your arms so you can unhook the right foot to take it back. And you want to think of a bit of a back bend. And you've got to reverse your movements. And we meet where we started. Give your wrists a shake. Press the backs of the hands to one another. Just let it go. Big, big breath in. Choose to side out. Second side. Take your legs a little closer towards one another. Lean forwards, inhale. Exhale, press through your hands. You might hold, might be hips, might be feet. Breathe. Take it down. Do the same thing again, figure 4 or Astavakrasana, maybe to Kundalini. So you're hooking the leg on towards the bicep, or in your figure 4, you lean forwards, inhale, exhale, press, maybe other leg lifts, maybe feet stack, legs to the side, elbows bend. Some of us take it back. We meet in straddle. Blocks to the side. Shake out those hands. Big breath in. Sigh it out. You're going to swing your feet back towards one another. Vinyasa. Plank. Lower. Lift. And we're back. Okay, so we're going to come back to the top of the mat. You can walk, you can step, you can jump. When you're there, lift halfway. Feel free to sigh as you fold. Super short balancing sequence. Take your left hand underneath the knee if it's comfortable, peace finger to big toe, right hand to a block or to the ground. Shift your weight to the right, compress the hip, lift that left foot up, take it down. Same thing, but we take it up to upright. Right hand goes back to that squeeze on the waist, Uddiyana Bandha. Inhale, exhale, you lift up. Pause for a breath, lift the chest, big toe or knee. Exhale, take it out. Nice, just one breath. Take it back. Rocket classic. Release. Arms up, extend the leg for 2. For 1. Dancer's pose. Peel up the back foot, take the hand towards it, kick the foot to your hand as you lift up the chest. Breathe. For 2. For 1. Let it go. Same second side, we fold. Right peace fingers to big toe or under the knee. Left hand to a block or the ground. First, compress the hip, shift to the left. See if you can peel your right foot off the ground like you're putting it into the hip socket. Take it down. Left hand goes to the waist. Inhale, exhale. Lift it up. Find a drishti. So for balance, in all poses, we use this Tristana. That's breath, drishti, bandha. Take it out. Come back. Release. 2. 1. Dancer's pose. Right hand to the foot. Kick the foot to the hand. Find somewhere to keep the eyes steady. Release. Shrug the shoulders up. Sigh it out. All right, you're going to pop to a squat. So 2 options. You can go nice and slow there, come to tiptoes. See how slowly, woo, this is where we're going to meet. Or if you're enjoying taking weight to the hands, tuck handstand to squat. So that would look like hands to the ground. If you're still working on getting up, try touch your toes to one another. That's a nice way to trick the hips a little higher. You're there and you're stable. You're going to think about from your tuck, really squeezing the knees to one another. Look forward, see how slowly you can take the toes to the ground. Bashasana. So feel free to grab a block. I'm going to take the knees so they point out towards the left. You can take a block underneath your ankles for stability. So that's kind of like a little seat. We twist to the right shoulder. Left forearm can start on the outside of the thigh, right hand on the small of the back. You might keep it here or wrap the right hand around. If you want to go half bind, bring the hand in between your legs and you can wrap around the back leg. If you've got really long arms or lots of mobility, you might full bind. I've got really long arms and that reaches the fingers towards one another. You might reach, you might stay reaching for 2. And for 1, you hold here or side crow to deep water. So teeny blocks to the side. Side crow is essentially this shape that we tip onto the ground. Some people will land on both elbows. In time, you can remove that right elbow so you're just landing on one. You're going to take your hands to the ground, grip the fingers. Think of lifting the chest and squeezing your big toes to one another. If you're there and you're comfy for Dvipada, you extend out the legs. Now we have to vinyasa. You can take the feet to the ground or you can try and hop it back. You inhale, exhale, lift the chest, down dog. Same thing, second side, jump to a squat or tuck handstand to squat. All right, knees go to the right, grab a block under the heels, lift the chest, and you twist. You might stay there, you might take hands in between the legs to work your bind, you might go hands over both the legs. For 2, try look over that left shoulder, let it drop. For 1, side crow, optional Dvipada. So hands go to the ground, you grip, you lift your chest, you look forward, squeeze those big toes towards one another. You might hold, you might extend your legs. If you're vinyasing back, inhale, prepare, exhale, step or jump it back. And we meet down dog. Take a sigh, big breath in. Let it go. Now let's release out those shoulders, roll forward, plank. Come down to the ground. We start Shalabhasana. Reach the hands back, press the palms down. Inhale, press through the hands. Press through your big toes to lift the head and the shoulders. You can hold it there or start to lift the feet for 2. For 1, we go straight to Shalabhasana C. Interlace your hands back behind you. Peel the knuckles back and away. If you want to, hip one foot on top of the other. Twist the ankles. See if you can lift a little higher. Nice self-assist there. And then do the opposite. Switch the feet. Let that come down. Any movements. We meet back down dog. So if you want to restabilize the spine, you see if you can go straight to half press up from here. Tuck the toes, push up halfway, plank, down dog. All right, so we're coming back to the knees. Again, we've got the same options. You can kind of slide over the feet. I really love that transition. I think it's really cute to come to kneeling. Or again, tuck handstand to knees. Give it a go, see what happens. We meet kneeling either way. All right. So we're going to work Ustrasana Camel. Quite a few options here. There's going to be 3 rounds and you can kind of mix it up at any point. If you know where you're going, do your thing. If you're with me, we start tucking the toes and engaging the glutes. So the more we support the back body, that's actually going to help us open the front body with a lot of, just in a super safe way. All right. We'll take hands to the hips or small of the back. Inhale. Exhale. Press the hips forwards. Feel like the shoulders are lifting up and back. Breathe for 3. You can drop the head if you like. Squeeze on the glutes for 2. Think heart up, then back for 1. Come back and down. You can hold it here for your release. You can go to child's pose if you like. Now, option 2. I'll explain. So you can do that same thing again. If you know you're comfy in a deeper variation of camel, some people will go hands to ankles. If you're really comfy in back bends, you can work some strength here by taking the hands so they're kind of on the front of your thighs. Then it's kind of almost like a weird little dance move. Inhale, and you exhale, engage your glutes. So it's all about strength to kind of lean back. Might look something like this. Some people, I've got a really, really bendy spine. So for me, my hands go down a little lower and I'm kind of working on touching the head down to the ground, but then you have to see if you can work your way up with the same strength. To come up, give it a go if you haven't already. You can counter in kneeling or in child's pose. Last option, if you're feeling back bended out, you stay exactly as you are. We've got an option that kind of goes through a capo variation towards wheels. So again, this will be one if you're really comfy in back bends and if maybe those first two felt pretty accessible. So here, again, we work a tuck at the toes because we're going straight back to wheels, almost like a drop back. So feel free to have a look if you haven't seen it before. You're going to squeeze on your glutes. So again, we really want to work strength of the body. If you just want to work the strength here, just have the hands at the heart and see how far you can go back. If you want to work this drop back, you're going to reach the arms up above the head. That will make it heavier. Now you've got the weight of the arms as well. I can't do this and talk at the same time. So I'm going to do it first, then I'll explain. So you're going to engage your glutes. You go back, hands reach the ground. You roll over the knees to press yourself up into wheel. I lied, maybe I can talk a bit whilst I do this. And then you have to get back the same way. So you're going to bend your knees to drop it back down. Push yourself back up. If you're playing, you play. We all meet kneeling. You're going to inhale. And then take a super long sigh out. Back bends, because of the shape they make in the spine and the body, they're quite exciting for the nervous system. Sometimes that might kind of appear as feeling really energized, but it's also really common for back bends to make you feel a little bit dysregulated. They make the heart beat a little bit faster, nervous system's more aroused. So if that is in your experience, it's a really natural response of the body. We're going to take some time to counter that here. Inhale with me. Flutter it out through the lips. We'd like to take the hands to the body so we can a bit more viscerally connect with the breath. Inhale. Just feel that contact, skin on skin. Okay, got a couple more seated postures to come through. We're going to take the hands back to the ground. You can walk, jump, or step back through your vinyasa. Now, best way to restabilize the spine is to take core work. Woohoo. So we're actually going to come to kneeling again, but slightly different. We're going to Lalasana. So you're going to drop your knees to the middle of the mat. Take yourself back, excuse me. If you've got your blocks, they're going to be really helpful here. You can have them either side of the hips. You can do this without blocks. It will just feel a little more challenging. Again, we're working this Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, peeling in and up and a doming of the spine. You're going to wrap your shoulders back. You're going to press down into your blocks, straighten your arms. You might hold there. Some people will be working on lifting their knees or their hips. Some of us will be lifting the toes. You're going to inhale and take it down. Your hands are shake. It's also going to restabilize the shoulder joint as well as restabilize through the core. Now we're going to use that to get into a jump through. Jump through is where we go from down dog through to seat. If you know where you're going, do your thing. If you want some guidance, you're going to keep your blocks and take them a little bit wider than your shoulders. What the blocks do, they just make your arms longer. So you're going to look where you want your feet to go, and that is through your arms. So you actually have to crank your neck quite a bit. Now, again, if we want to be kind, we can take our feet a bit closer to the hands because now they've got less distance to go. Feel free to have a look if you're not sure what I mean. You're going to press the ground away, look where you want to go. Then it's like a little hop or a little jump to bring your feet through. And we meet seated, however you get there. You can also walk that if you want to build the muscle memory, but avoid the jumping. All right, gang, from here, we're actually going to come lie down. So you're going to inhale, feet to the ground. Exhale, peel it back. Take your elbows down, core work, legs up. Inhale. Exhale, right leg down. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, left leg down. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, both feet down and hold. Press the low spine down for 3. If you want to, release your arms for 2. If you want it heavier, bring the head back for 1. Let's come up Navasana. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. You're going to cross your left foot over the right. That's going to take you into standing splits. Right leg is going to go the whole way up. You can hold it here. If you want to work balance on your foot, why not try taking one hand to your ankle or 2 hands to your ankle. If you want to work handstand, we take the hands to the ground, little hops or little jumps, little presses to take it up. Couple breaths. We're going to vinyasa out. If you're comfy in a handstand, you split your legs, look forwards to take it into your vinyasa. All right, we're jumping through again, so feel free to grab your blocks. You're gonna look where you want your feet to go. Walking, stepping, or jumping the feet through. Feet to the ground, hands forwards. Elbows to the ground. This time, you're gonna take your feet down, same thing but opposing. Inhale, exhale, right leg up. Inhale, exhale, left leg up. Inhale, hold, 3. Release the hands, 2. Drop the head. Up to Navasana. Right foot forwards, hands to blocks on the ground, standing splits. If you're balancing on your foot, 1 or 2 hands towards ankle. If you're balancing on your hand, jumping or pressing the weight forwards. Couple breaths for you to work, to play. And decide how you're getting back into your vinyasa. Walking, stepping, jumping. Take a big breath in. Long sigh out. Again, jump through to seated. Blocks or no blocks. Okay, come to the ground. We're going to do pigeon lying on our backs. So if you're going to take your right ankle, so it goes on top of the left thigh, you might hold here. There's a ton of options we can work with. Might shift the hips out side to side. If you're not feeling too much or you want to go deeper, you can peel your legs in a little closer to the chest. Any movement here. Just notice what it's like to have the ground beneath you, a little more support there again. You can hold. If you know you're someone with lots and lots of rotation in your hip and you want to take this towards Ekapada Shishasana, head behind the head, not that, foot behind the head. You can take your left foot down to the ground and just start to circle that right knee. This is where it's kind of like Astavakrasana or compass. You might be hooking your right shoulder, your right leg, sorry, behind your right shoulder. You might hold it there. And then actually it's quite a lot of a dome in the spine often to get that foot back. You might take it halfway, might go the whole way. Few breaths, any variation. As long as you're opening the right hip, you're in the right place. Release, squeeze the knees. Second side. Start figure 4. As we slow things down, begin to appreciate the time you put aside to be here today, the effort, the patience, whether this was a new practice to you or one you've come to many times, appreciating kind of maybe all the practices that have come before or the things that might have lined up to allow you to take this time to be here. When you're ready, legs can come in a little closer. You might be holding here on this side, breathing, moving. If you're working towards Ekapada, you're taking the right foot down, squeezing it in. Maybe left leg behind shoulder, baby left leg behind head. It tends to be one side that's a little more open than the other. For me, it's the left. Having the right foot up is actually going to give you more space. If you want to work there, if you want it to be more intense, you extend that right leg long. When you're ready, release. Take the knees to the chest. Now, those of us watching recorded, we're coming towards our close. But if there's anything else that you want to do, feel free to kind of put me on pause. If there's a closing sequence, if you want to go upside down, do a back bend, please take the time to do you. Those of us doing it live, so lovely Kate, babe. If there's anything you want to do, I always give people like minute and a half, 2 minutes just to take any final movements. You might feel totally ready to come to your Shavasana and you can go straight there if that's the case. But if there is anything you'd like to do, back bend, twist, one more time upside down or closing sequence, please feel free to take your time to move. Now, it's super interesting with the asana practice because, you know, every time we put all of this like focus and care and hard work into these physical shapes, and then every single practice, we do our best just to kind of gently let them go. And we really let the poses be what they are. They're a way that we can get to know ourselves, in a way that we can take care of the body. If we come back to these kind of key pillars of practice, connection and care, at their core, the poses are really just a vehicle for these things. So, as fun as the poses can be, as important as they can be, as annoying as they can be, we try to remind ourselves every practice that they really are just shapes. And in the same way you would use a tool, like in your house or in the garden, every practice, we just try and put them down. So you can start to give yourself permission to kind of loosen your grip from the physical shapes. If you're not in your Shavasana variation already, start to make your way there. Let's take a deep inhale together. Hold on full. See if you can sip in a tiny bit more air through the mouth. And just a little bit more. And then you're going to sigh it out. Let that all go. If that feels helpful, take as many of those as you like. But just beginning to offer yourself this time and this space to release. Notice any space, any softness that the support of the practice might bring into the body, bring into the mind, or the more subtle parts of yourself. Notice how the ground will come up to meet you. So for those of us practicing live, just to be respectful of your time, I'm going to hold us here for just around another minute, minute and a half. If you're watching this recorded and you'd like to take a slightly longer Shavasana, please feel free. Put me on pause. Okay. When you're ready, just kind of gently start to deepen the breath again. That breath will start to just bring a little more life to the body. And if you'd like to, you could start to let that expand. Oh, might be yawning, might be sighing, let the body make a bit of noise. Might be starting to move, whether you want to start small, fingers, head, toes, or go into a few stretches, anything that feels good here. Take the time you need to welcome yourself back. If you need some grounding, body to body contact tends to be quite calming for the nervous systems. That might be hands to the heart, might be knees to the chest. And then we'll start to work our way to seated as and when you decide you feel ready. If you're still making your way, no rush, just join when you're ready. When seated, we'll let the head lift, the shoulders drop, and bring the hands to prayer, Anjali Mudra, center of the chest. Just like we did when we began. Use your breath just to scan through yourself. And check in just as honestly, as gently as you can. Again, you don't have to have the words for it. You don't need to be able to intellectualize it. But just see if you can take a moment to just kind of listen, to feel into your experience. There's not a way that you should or shouldn't feel after practice. This is a space we come to make space for connection. So see if you can just gently, gently breathe in, connect with anything that might be here. Start to acknowledge for yourself that you got yourself here today. You took this time, and regardless of how your practice might have manifested, that on its own is such a wonderful symbol of support. You can kind of give yourself the credit for that if you like. All right. I'm going to take the knuckles of the thumbs to the center of the brow, third eye space or intuition space. Let's first take a big cleansing sigh. Then inhale. Exhale, just to gently bow the head. Bowing to your body, your heart, your hands. Acknowledge your practice and acknowledge the practice itself. It's been around for thousands of years in all of these fabulous forms. And then it's kind of wiggled its way to now be here with us, and we get to have our own expression of what connection can mean. Traditionally, in a rocket setting, we end with a call and response of the word Jai. Jai translates as victory. So if you'd like to, Jai. That is us, my loves. Good morning. If there's anything you need, if you've got questions or anything, you know right where I am. You can either ping me a message or, yeah, whatever's easiest for you, email, text. Have a lush. Oh, hello.